go. Welcome. We are so glad that you are here, that you have joined us for our homemade pasta workshop tonight. I'm seeing that my cupboard is open behind me. This is not televised. No, it's not a professional production. But we are just here in our home kitchens. I am in Kenora, Ontario, and my friend Judy Williams is in Stratford, Ontario. We are joining you, partnering together tonight for this workshop. We are so thrilled. If you hear water boiling in the background, I apologize. My baby needs to get her bottle ready for the evening. But if you don't know me, my name is Ashley Berkelmans. I am one of the leaders here in our Pampered Chef Dream Builders organization, and Judy is another leader in our organization with me. And we are so thrilled to be partnering tonight. Judy is going to be sharing a allergy-friendly recipe. Now, a caveat to that. Judy, did you use eggs tonight for your recipe? Are you using eggs? Yes.
I am using eggs tonight, but you can substitute eggs out, but I am using eggs.
Yes. So I was chatting with a girlfriend today, and one of their allergies in their house is eggs. And I was like, shoot.
Okay.
She has an egg substitute. She actually says the chickpea, whatever the word is for it, like not juice. That's not the word.
Yes, yes.
With chickpeas in the can, right? So
yes.
that sometimes is similar consistency.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah,
you can whip that, and you can make it into like a whipped cream. Like
yeah. Is it aquafaba? Is that the name?
Yes, aquafaba. Yes.
Okay. There we go. I know something.
There you go. You know lots.
Household over here. So I will be making the traditional recipe with all-purpose flour, eggs, salt, and olive oil. Or I have made it already, I should say. And we're going to be showing you a few featured products, Pampered Chef products, to make the pasta. The big guy tonight is our deluxe stand mixer. We're going to talk more about that and the brand new pasta attachment. If you are one of our guests tonight, you are going to be entered to win this basil pesto seasoning mix, which is a brand new seasoning that Pampered Chef just launched on September 1st. And so what we would like you to do, if you are a guest here tonight, we'd like you to comment in the chat so we make sure we get you in on the draw. And you can say who invited you tonight. If you are a consultant, we would also like you to introduce yourself in the chat, share where you're coming from, and how long you've been a consultant. We would love to hear that as well. So without any further ado, I am going to hand it over to my friend Judy Williams, who is going to get us started tonight. Take it away, Judy.
All right, I'm going to switch cameras. So just let me know if you can see this okay. So I'm just gonna, so you don't see my back. Hopefully you can see my front over here. All right, so I'm going to, hopefully you can hear me okay, because I don't have I didn't want to blast you. So I'm hoping you can see my stand mixer over here. Okay, is everything good, Ash? Okay, perfect. Okay, so I don't know how many of you do have sensitivities, but it is awesome.
Judy, I'm just going to interrupt you really quickly. I want to try something. So I'm going to try for the recording. And also, if you on the screen, for those of you who are on different devices, if you want to see the speaker, you can go and you can switch the view to speaker mode, and then you won't see all of us. You'll see the speaker as the big screen and then little people on the top. So Judy, if you don't want, can you mute your computer, because it's picking up your computer audio as the speaker, and then I'll see if I can get your phone camera as the speaker here. So let's just see. Okay, so you go ahead and talk. I'll mute myself. So it's saying that you're connecting to audio, Judy, on your phone. So we can't hear you. Oh, there we go. Okay, now you're muted.
I have to connect here.
Okay, so I can hear you. It was echoey, but let's try this again.
Go. Turn that right off. Okay, is that better?
Perfect. So what I'm just gonna do before you get started, because a few people just joined us. Hi, Lena. Hi, Joyce. Welcome, welcome. So what we're getting, if you are a guest tonight, we are gonna have you comment in the chat. You're being entered to win a basil pesto seasoning mix. And if you are one of our consultants, we would like you to also introduce yourself in the chat, share how long you've been a consultant. And for our guests, if you want to share who invited you tonight, we would love to see that. So I am going to mute myself now. We're going to try and get Judy up on the big screen. And let's take it away again, Judy.
All right. Special welcome to Lena. She's just a brand new consultant. So I am going to, I forgot. So Ashley can tell me, I don't have my phone up, but I'm going to measure. We use a scale when we're measuring because it's a good idea to have it exact, but I have it in cups. So Ashley can just tell me either in ounces or grams, but it calls for 2.5 cups of gluten-free flour or in regular flour. And maybe I just have to pull up.
So the regular flour is 3 cups of all-purpose flour.
Okay, let me just pull up my recipe. Okay, sorry guys. So in measuring flour, the reason why we measure flour, so let's see what it says here. It says, okay, so 11 ounces or 312, so 11 ounces. So the reason why we just measure it is just going to give us a little bit more of an exactness. And with gluten-free flour, it's important. So what I've done is I've used our kitchen scale. You can put the cup on and then you just push tare and that zeros the scale. So what I usually do is I use like wax paper or something underneath and I just level it off. And these actually come with a leveler. It's not right here. I'm just going to use my knife. Just level off. Instead of scooping a flour, just do it like that. So what have we got? So we've got 4.94 ounces. And in ounces, it was 11. So the thing about gluten-free, if anybody's done gluten-free before, it is more about the consistency. And sometimes it's a little bit more, it's a little less. You have to kind of add a little bit more. Take away. So I'm meticulously measuring, but it's not really about that. We're actually weighing, so it doesn't really matter. So we're at 4.97. So basically we're at almost 10. And then we want a little bit more. Over 1 ounce. And what we're going to do is, if it's a little bit dry, we're going to add a little bit more flour, just like 1 teaspoon at a time. There we go. We got 1.6. I think that's 1.06. I think it's pretty good. But if it's dry, we're going to have to add a little bit more, a little water. If it's too wet, we're going to add a little bit more flour. And so that's why measuring it is good, but we have to be a little bit flexible. And it depends what kind of flour you're using. I'm using an all-purpose, a 1-to-1 flour. It's a Bob Red Mills. And honestly, I don't have a lot of experience with this. I usually make my own gluten-free flour, but I also like have a sort of a a liberal amount of what I put in for my flowers. So I tried it the first time with my own flowers and thought this time let me use something so that I can be a little bit more exact with what I use. This does not have xanthemum gum in it. And so they recommend a flower with xanthemum gum in it. So we're going to add our xanthemum gum. And this has a recommendation on the back of how much to add. They don't say pasta, but they do say pizza. So we're going to add 4.5 teaspoons. So that's what we're going to do. And xanthemum gum is just going to, because it doesn't have the gluten in the flowers, it doesn't have that stretchability, you know, that elasticity that you get with gluten flowers. So this is just going to help it to stick together. So the first time I talked to somebody that had made it, 3, hopefully I'm counting right, and they said, oh no, they didn't use the flour with the guar gum. And I was like, oh, okay, or the xanthemum gum. So I thought, okay, I won't do it. But then I made it, and it stretched, but it didn't. It stretched and kind of made holes in it. And I was like, okay, I think she used something with oats in it. Okay, and it has a little bit of gluten. This does not have any oats in it at all. And so it doesn't have any gluten at all. So I definitely needed to add it. So what I did was I literally just put it all back together, squished it together, and put on some guar gum because I didn't have xanthemum gum. Added a bit more because you need more with guar gum than xanthemum gum. Squished it together. I kneaded it a bit with my hands, and I got it to work really, really well. So I just want you to know, like, never throw it out. Don't get rid of your ingredients. These ingredients are expensive. You can make it work. I promise you. So that's part of what you need to know. If you're just new to allergy cooking or baking, you can make it work. And it's important to know that because honestly, it depends what altitude you're at as far as, you know, how much you're going to take, where you are, where you bought your flour, where it was milled, all those things. There's a lot of considerations. Oh, where's my egg cracking? I usually crack into some cups and they're over here. Sorry. As Ashley says, she hasn't used our we're pampered, not perfect slogan yet, but that's soon to come. Also, when I'm cracking eggs, I usually crack them on my kitchen sink because that's where I get the best crack. I always want to crack them where I can get an even crack. We had found out that one of our guys was quite ill, and that's how we got into getting the gluten out of our family. And we found out that it wasn't just our son that was ill, that was also my husband and all of our kids. And then we were able to help my husband's mom too, who was very sick. And we're very thankful. And a lot of people have said to me over the years, how do you do it? How do you do the whole gluten-free thing? But honestly, I thought my son was I thought he had something very, very seriously wrong with him. So I was thankful to be able to help. And I'll tell you, I'm so thankful for the stand mixer. It does its thing and it has pre-settings on it. And so I'm able to walk away, let it do its thing and come back and it's all finished. So to me, that I'll tell you, that's a huge win because the phone rings, we get distracted, life happens, and you know, all of a sudden it's, you know, things are gone. So I was supposed to mix together the flour and the guar gum and then add the eggs and the salt. But because I did not do that, we're just going to pour it all in together and I'm sure it's going to be fine. So we are doing, you just want to mix the dry ingredients first. And then you will put the bread hook on. And then that's what's going to knead it together. So I think I'm just going to go right to the bread hook. This is the this is for whipping. And depending on what setting you have it on, it's going to tell you exactly what to do. And again, I like that because it's helping me out. When it's on whip, it's going to tell me to use this. And when it's on cream or mix, it's going to tell me to use the paddle, which wipes the side. And then when it's on beat, I'm going to use the paddle. And then when it's on knead, that's when I'm going to use the bread hook. So the thing about the pre-settings is, if I'm going to make whipped cream, I just put it on to whip, and it's going to make that beautiful whipped cream. And if I think, oh my word, I know what I'm doing, and I don't need to worry about if I'm putting, let's say, I'm making cookies, and I put the butter with the eggs, and I want to make sure they don't spread, so I can put them on the setting to cream, and it knows exactly when to stop. If I've got a recipe I've made for years and years and years, well, I want to put it on for what I want to put it on. I can either put it on custom, or I can change the time. So this says 8 minutes, and I'm just going to change it down to 5. So I can do whatever I need to do. And Ashley's doing that with the bread making or the pasta making right now. She's changed one of the settings, and that's how she's doing hers as well. So I'm going to start mine. And it's going to start slowly, so it doesn't throw flour all over me. And then it's going to start kneading. It's going to knead 5 minutes. There is a protector that you can use as well, but I rarely need to use it. But it's an option as well. And when we use the pasta attachment, we just take this off, and it just goes right in the end here.
Does anyone have any questions for Judy? Judy, just so you know, we can hear your voice loud and clear, and we can't hear the mixer in the background, which is awesome. So does anyone have any allergy questions for Judy about the dough or about how she puts that together for the pasta? Feel free to ask. We'll come back and answer questions too. Judy, did you want me to do my part while it's finishing kneading, or what do you?
Yeah, I can't hear very well.
You've got a couple more minutes there. So what I'll do is I'll show my step here while it's finishing. Oh, Cindy's got a question. Here we go. Okay, we've got a few questions. Okay.
Gluten-free flour. Yeah, so I have a couple of recipes that I use for that. I have one recipe that I use that's rice flour, tapioca starch, I used to use soy flour, but now I use coconut flour instead. So that's where I'm kind of learning my amounts instead of using soy flour. First of all, soy flour is not available anymore, but that's what I use. And then there's another starch that I use. It's just escaping my mind right now. But I use the 2 starches and the rice flour and another flour that just kind of balances it out. And that's my all-purpose flour. And I use it for things like muffins and things like that. When I'm making a cake, I often just use white rice flour. I find that a mixture of flour sometimes makes too heavy a cake because there's a mix of flours. So that's why I use it more for muffins and things like breads. Like if you're making a banana bread, I would use my mix, anything like that. But if you're trying to get a nice light cake and get it to rise, I find using like a light white rice flour is better because it will rise better and it won't squeeze lighter. Yeah. So that's what I use. And I always reduce it. So whenever I'm using anything with rice in it, I always reduce
instead of making a 1-to-1, so instead of using 1 cup of regular flour and 1 cup of my gluten-free flour, I always reduce it. So it would be like 1 cup of regular flour to 3/4 of my gluten-free mix. So it's always quite good. Thanks, Cindy. That's a great question. I can get you that answer a little bit better as well. Yeah, anybody else have any questions? It's hard at the beginning when you start changing things around, but over time, you get a lot more proficient at it. It becomes a lot easier as you go.
So, sorry, I couldn't hear you there. I don't know if you said something. These mixers aren't super quiet. They're not terribly loud, but they're not super quiet.
Yeah, it's hard to hear a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, it's working away over here. So it's, I don't know if you can see it's eating. So it's just taking from the edge and it's just laying that flour into it. And if it doesn't make enough of a ball, if it's too dry, like I said, you can add like a tablespoon of water. If it doesn't form the ball, or if it's cracked. Okay, so it's, can you see that? So it's a little bit dry. But I'll tell you, the last time I made it was a little bit wet, so not too worried about adding too much extra water. Yeah, and it feels like a bit soggy inside it, so it's like, so this is a pastry mat I have it on. And it's, yeah, it's a bit. It's a bit damp inside here. Probably mixing my flours would have been an asset. So I'm just wondering if they're not mixed through to get the guar gum mixed through. The first time I made it, I just let it sit 30 minutes or an hour. And the next time I let it sit overnight. Just to get everything sitting. So what I think I might do is I'm just gonna like wrap it up and let it sit. And then I'll keep you posted, because last time I added a lot of extra flour to it and almost doubled the recipe. So I'm reluctant to do too much to it, but I think it might end up needing more flour to it. But this is a flour that has beans in it, and it just might be a damper recipe. So like a damper flour. So just like trying to feel it to make sure it's all kneaded through. I just like, if you